The desperate signal. The stars blinked above the quiet world of Velmora, but below them, everything was burning. Captain Lero, a veteran of the Velmoran Defense Corps, ran through the broken halls of the command tower. Screens flickered, walls cracked, and smoke filled the air. Outside, their cities were being torn apart by invaders, machines with no face, no voice, only hunger. They were called the Hollow Swarm. For months, the swarm had been spreading across the outer colonies, draining worlds of resources and life. Velmora had no mighty fleet, no strong allies. Their last hope was the signal. An emergency transmission had been sent, an ancient protocol known as the Unity SOS. It went out to all member worlds, to all known species, to anyone with a ship and a heart. But no one came. No one, except Earth. At the very edge of the galaxy, the human world had been silent for decades. Most thought they had vanished, gone too deep into their deadly homeworld to care. Others believed they were rebuilding, preparing. But no one expected Earth to respond. Lero coughed and dropped to his knees in the control room. His aide, a young girl named Mara, helped him to the screen. A blinking icon appeared. A ship, sir, it's from the Death World, Mara said in disbelief. From Earth. Lero leaned forward. The data was clear, a single human battle cruiser, moving at impossible speed, coming straight for the planet. It bore no standard colors, no council flags. It was jet black. Lero stared. One ship? Mara hesitated. It's called the Hammer of Dawn. That name chilled the room. Outside, the sky turned red. Not from fire, but from entry burns, burning trails marking the ship's arrival. One vessel, the size of a small city, broke through the upper atmosphere like a blade through paper. The enemy swarm noticed. The machines twisted in the air, turning their attention from the city to the sky, and then it began. The battle cruiser opened its hangar. Hundreds of smaller ships, sleek, deadly fighters, poured out. They flew with perfect precision, as if the air itself bowed to their will. Down below, Velmoran soldiers paused. Civilians looked to the sky. For the first time in days, they felt something they had forgotten, hope. From the lead ship, a message came through. It was short, cold, and powerful. To the people of Velmora, this world is now under Earth's protection. Deathworlders have arrived. Stand back. The machines responded instantly. Thousands of them swarmed the sky, targeting the human fleet, but they were too late. A sonic blast shook the air. One of the swarm carriers exploded in midair. Then another. The black ship moved like a phantom, too fast for weapons to track. Its guns didn't roar, they whispered, with deadly accuracy. On the ground, human drop pods slammed into the city streets. Soldiers in heavy armor emerged, tall, silent, with glowing visors and strange weapons. They moved like hunters, with purpose and calm fury. Their armor bore no flag, only a single mark, DW-1, Deathworld Unit 1. Mara stared at the screen. They are not like the others, she whispered. Lero nodded. They are not soldiers, they are monsters, someone whispered behind them, but they were the monsters on their side. As human units pushed back the swarm, reports began flooding in. The machines were retreating. Not regrouping. Fleeing. For the first time since the invasion began, the Hollow Swarm had found something it feared. By sunset, half the city was cleared. The humans had taken no losses. The final moment came when a massive enemy crawler breached the surface, 10 stories tall, crushing buildings as it marched. It opened its mouth to fire a plasma beam at the command tower. A single human stood in its way. He wore no helmet. Just armor and a long blade glowing with heat. He didn't wait for backup. He charged, and when the crawler fired, it missed. Seconds later, its head dropped to the ground. The human stood on top, blade burning, eyes cold. Lero stared from the tower in awe. Who were these people? Behind him, Mara said the word aloud, Deathworlders. Why would Earth help us? After the battle, silence fell over Velmora. Not the silence of fear, but the stillness that follows a storm. The Hollow Swarm was gone. Not just pushed back, but obliterated. The black ship, Hammer of Dawn, floated above the clouds like a shadow of judgment. Its escort fighters patrolled quietly, scanning for any remaining threats. In the command tower, Lero watched the battlefield reports. The humans had destroyed over 1,000 swarm units in less than 4 hours. No casualties. No retreat. Mara stepped beside him, holding a data pad. The Deathworlders left behind a cleanup team. They are moving from zone to zone. Precision. Strikes only. They don't even speak. Lero narrowed his eyes. They don't need to. Their message is clear. He glanced out the shattered window at the main street below. There, standing alone, was the same unmasked human who took down the crawler. The man stood still, blade sheathed now, hands behind his back. His armor was scarred but untouched. He watched the ruins like a guard watching over a nest. Mara frowned. Why would Earth help us? We've never heard from them in years. Some say they left the council on purpose. They did, Lero replied. They said the galaxy didn't understand them. Called them violent, dangerous. Mara nodded. And now we call them heroes. Before Lero could answer, a ping came through. The humans were requesting a direct meeting. Location, Sector 7 Command Bunker. Time, now. The bunker was deep. Underground, beneath the old war district, half collapsed, never used since Velmora's last civil war. Lero and Mara took a transport to the entrance, escorted by 2 of the human cleanup units. Inside the bunker, the air was cold and still. A single table waited in the center. One man sat at it, the same soldier from the battle. He stood up when they entered. His voice was low and steady. My name is Dane. I speak for the 1st Earthborn Guard. Lero nodded, unsure of what to say. You saved our world. We owe you everything. Dane didn't smile. We answered a call. That's all. Mara stepped forward. But why now? Why us? Dane placed a small device on the table. It lit up, showing a galaxy map. Red dots blinked across half the screen. These are the systems the swarm has reached. Lero stared. That many? Dane nodded. And growing. Velmora was just the edge. He tapped another point. This is Earth. The swarm will find us. Eventually. So this is a warning. Mara asked. No, Dane said, looking her in the eyes. This is a response. He explained, for the last 20 years, Earth had been watching. Preparing. Not hiding, but waiting. They had seen the Council falter. They had seen systems fall. Earth refused to rely on alliances built on words. They built weapons instead. And warriors. Deathworlders, trained not to conquer, but to end threats before they reached the core worlds. Mara sat down slowly. So we were a test. Dane shook his head. You were the first to scream loud enough. He then pressed another button on the map. A signal echoed across the bunker, audio from the original SOS Velmora had sent. But now, there were others, other cries. Other screams. Other desperate signals from systems across the galaxy. Mara covered her mouth. They are all being attacked. Dane's voice turned grim. And we are the only ones answering. Lero clenched his fists. But you can't save everyone. No, Dane replied. But we'll burn through everything in our path trying. He stood and turned toward the door. You've been cleared. Your world will be rebuilt. Engineers arrive in 12 hours. But the swarm isn't done. Not yet. Lero called out. Where are you going now? Dane paused at the door, to the next scream. And with that, he left. The humans vanished into the sky by nightfall. Their ship left no trail, only memories and ashes. The people of Velmora watched the skies for a long time after that, whispering stories about the Black Ship and the Deathworlders inside it. No one ever forgot, because when the galaxy turned its back, Earth stepped forward with fire. Asterisk. The next world screamed. The planet Junarel was not known for war. It was a farming world, rich in water and green hills. Its people were peaceful, slow-speaking, and trusted the council blindly, but trust didn't stop the swarm. Without warning, machines rained from the sky like metal insects. The ground cracked. Skies turned black. Fields burned. Within hours, 3 cities had vanished under clouds of smoke and ash. Elder Phelan, the planet's only remaining leader, stood in the crumbling dome of the Sky Forum. The communication systems were already down. Their fleets had been destroyed in orbit. Soldiers were fighting with hunting rifles and repurposed mining tools. He knew they wouldn't last another night, and then the clouds parted. A shape descended, not fast, but steady, like judgment falling from the sky. It was not silver or white, like council ships. It was black and sharp. The same ship spoken of in recent rumors. The one that had burned across Velmora and vanished. The hammer of dawn. The elders watched from the broken walls of their tower. Beside Phelan, a child gasped. "Is it true, sir? Is that the one the stories talk about?" Phelan squinted. "If it is, then we may live." The swarm responded to the new arrival with a wave of screeching metal. Hundreds of flying drones turned in the sky, rushing toward the descending vessel, but this time, the hammer didn't release fighters. This time, it dropped something else. Apod.it fell fast and slammed into the city center plaza with a thunderous boom. The ground cracked around it. Steam hissed. People ran or fell to their knees. The hatch opened, and from within stepped 10 warriors. They moved in unison, heavy armor clanking, carrying brutal weapons with blinking lights and rotating barrels. Their visors glowed dim red in the dark. One of them carried a long black flag. The symbol on it was simple, a cracked world held by a human fist. The Deathworlders had arrived. The first one to speak was a tall woman with a short, rough voice. "Civilians, move to the safe zones. We'll clear the path." Phelan walked toward them, trying not to tremble. We have no army left." She looked at him. "You have us." And then the battle began. The swarm charged. But the Deathworlders moved like fire. Their weapons screamed, high-pitched sounds like ripping air, and machines exploded mid-stride. One soldier jumped from a rooftop, slammed into a crawler's head, and stabbed straight through its core with a heat blade. The humans didn't speak to each other. No orders. No calls. They moved as if they shared one mind. At one point, the woman threw a device into the middle of a swarm. It pulsed once, then a blue dome spread out. Everything inside froze. Seconds later, it disintegrated to dust. Phelan watched in disbelief. "This isn't war." "No," whispered a guard beside him. "It's extermination." For 2 hours, the Deathworlders fought non-stop. They didn't slow. Didn't pause. When one's weapon overheated, he tossed it aside and picked up an enemy arm blade, using it better than the machine that made it, and then it was done. The final crawler turned to flee. A human sprinted after it, on foot, and leapt 5 meters high to drive a spear through its back. Silence returned. Children peeked from shelters. Old men stepped out of ruins. No more sounds of war. No more shrieking metal, only the wind and the breathing of 10 black-armored humans standing in the ruins of what was once death. The woman looked at Phelan. "Your people are safe now. The swarm will not return." Phelan could barely speak. How can we thank?" But she raised her hand. "No thanks. Just one thing." She reached into a pouch and placed a metal disc on the ground. "If any other world cries for help, send this signal. We'll come." She turned to leave. Phelan called after her. "Wait. Who do we tell them you are? What name do we give?" The woman looked back once, visor glowing in the smoke. "Tell them Earth didn't forget. And Deathworlders always answer." Council silence. Earth's roar at the Galactic Council Hall. The chamber was quiet. Representatives from dozens of species sat in their tall, curved chairs. A war report played in the center hologram, images of Velmora and Junoil being destroyed, and then saved. The last images showed Earth's warship, the Hammer of Dawn, and its soldiers in black armor, walking through fire, unstoppable. When the display ended, no one spoke. Finally, a thin ambassador with silver skin broke the silence. "This cannot be allowed. Earth has no council orders, no permission." Another shouted. "They interfered in a red sector." A reptilian delegate hissed. "And saved 2 worlds. Your fleets never showed up. Ours couldn't even reach orbit." The head of the council, a being named Varric, slowly stood. "We all know Earth is different. But we must ask, what are they planning? Why now? Why the return?" From the shadows of the hall, an old diplomat from Earth's past delegation, Aaron, stepped forward. His human eyes were calm but sharp. "You didn't ask for our help," he said quietly. "But you didn't stop the screams either. Varric turned to him. Are you speaking for Earth again? Aaron nodded. I never stopped. A red-skinned warrior slammed his fist. Earth left the Council a century ago. Why return now with weapons, with soldiers, with no words? Aaron walked to the center of the chamber and tapped the console. A new image appeared, dozens of red distress signals. These are the systems crying out right now, he said. The Council has not responded to a single one in over 6 months. The crowd stirred uncomfortably. Aaron continued, his voice low but growing colder. Do you know what it means to be a Deathworlder? To grow up in a place where everything tries to kill you. Where survival is earned every day, not given. He looked around at them all. You called us monsters once. You feared our strength. So Earth stayed away. He took a breath. But we heard the cries. And now we answer. A robotic delegate buzzed, so this is war. Earth leads its own crusade. Aaron shook his head. This isn't war. It's protection. We are not marching on peaceful worlds. We are burning the swarm. Another delegate stood. Earth's actions break Council law. Aaron turned, unmoved. Then changed the law. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small silver disc, the same kind left on Junarel. He placed it on the floor. It glowed softly. This is a beacon. Earth left one on every world we save. If you're afraid of it, maybe you should ask yourselves why. With that, he walked out of the chamber. Behind him, arguments exploded. Species shouted. Some demanded Earth's punishment. Others demanded Earth's help, but one thing was certain, the Council had waited too long. Their fear had made them slow. Now Earth had returned, not for control, but for action, and action always speaks louder than politics. Meanwhile, in deep space, the Hammer of Dawn drifted silently through the void. Inside its dark halls, Commander Dane and his team reviewed the next call for help. A jungle world called Lurith was falling fast. Biomachines had already devoured half its oceans. Dane looked over the tactical readouts. Prepare fire squads. Launch in 1 hour. One of his lieutenants stepped forward. Sir, word from the Council. They are meeting to vote on whether Earth's actions are legal. Dane didn't even look up. Let them vote. He pointed to the mission screen. That planet doesn't have an hour. The engines of the Hammer roared to life. While the Council debated, Earth had already moved. Fire falls on Lurith. The planet Lurith was alive, but not in a way anyone would admire. Jungle covered its entire surface. Trees stretched over 100 meters tall. Rivers of green mist flowed through glowing vines. Most called it beautiful. Until the swarm came, the machines didn't just kill, they adapted. They used the roots and vines as armor, the rivers as coolant. The jungle became part of them, and Lurith screamed beneath the surface. In the capital city of Tyranfall, last signals flickered out. The biomachines had already eaten through their defenses. Walls melted. Communication lines turned to sludge. The survivors had no weapons left. Only hope, and the hope was fading fast, until the sky caught fire. Unlike other missions, this time the Hammer of Dawn didn't stay in orbit. It descended into the atmosphere, its hull glowing from the heat of re-entry. Its shadow swept across the jungle like an omen. Then came the rain. Pods launched in precision strikes. Each hit the ground like a comet, sending shockwaves through the infested land. Trees snapped. Swarm crawlers were vaporized. From each pod emerged fire teams, Deathworlders in adaptive armor, each suit modified for the wild terrain. Commander Dane landed first. His boots crushed a vine creature trying to crawl away. His helmet adjusted instantly, filtering spores and tracking movement. He drew his plasma blade and activated thermal view. They fused with the jungle, he muttered. Disgusting. Around him, his team formed up in silence. They moved through the dense forest, cutting through undergrowth and machine alike. Some of the swarm tried to ambush from above, but the humans had drones clearing the canopy. One by one, enemy nests were incinerated. Dane's comm crackled. City core still has survivors. One group holding in the archives under siege. Move. They pushed forward fast. On the way, they passed dozens of husks, swarm creatures half melted and twisted. Some were still twitching. The jungle moaned. As if the world itself felt pain. At the archive, a small group of scientists and workers had barricaded themselves with old stone and farming tools. A young boy stood at the edge, holding a sharp stick. His hands shook. He didn't expect to see soldiers, but when the Deathworlders arrived, he didn't cheer. He just dropped the stick and cried. Dane stepped forward. Get everyone to the center. This area's going to burn. One of the scientists, a woman covered in ash, asked, "Who sent you?" He answered, "You did." The evac took less than 2 minutes. Once civilians were secured, Dane gave the order, "Clean sweep. Burn it all." From the edge of the archive, the humans deployed. Incendiary systems. Fire danced across the jungle. The swarm screeched, machines tried to retreat, but it was too late. This time, the Deathworlders brought more than blades and bullets, they brought judgment. Hours later, as smoke rose and green light faded, survivors walked behind armored humans toward the evac zone. Dropships hovered above, waiting to carry them off-world. A small girl looked up at a towering soldier beside her and asked, "Will they come back?" The soldier didn't speak. Instead, he held out a hand. And it was a round, silver disk with a single word, Earth. Above Lurith, the hammer of dawn turned slowly in orbit. Inside, Dane stood before a hologram of the next system crying for help. He spoke softly to himself, one planet at a time. Behind him, another soldier asked, "Commander, when will they realize we're not doing this for thanks?" Dane didn't look back. "They don't need to thank us." He touched the side of his blade, "They just need to live." Asterisk fear spreads among stars. The name Earth had once faded from galactic memory, but not anymore. Now, whispers filled every station, every port, every bar on every rim world. They came in black ships, no council codes. Just fire. They landed without warning and saved us. No one asked them to help. They helped anyway. In less than a month, the Deathworlders had intervened on 5 planets. Velmora, Junarel, Lurith. 2 more followed, their names already turned to myth. No ceremony. No speeches. Just thunder and steel. The council tried to hide the reports. Tried to tell the galaxy Earth was acting out of line, but survivors were telling their own stories. One holovid spread faster than any official broadcast. It showed a young girl from Junarel standing beside a towering human soldier. He handed her a metal disc and knelt so she could place it in her bag. She asked, "Will you come if others call?" He answered with only one word, "Always." The galaxy didn't fear Earth anymore, they prayed for it. Back in the council chamber, panic was growing. "They are everywhere," one ambassador barked. "Earth's forces are striking systems we can't even reach. They've become a shadow fleet. Silent. Invisible. They are destabilizing the entire power structure." At the center of it all, Varric, the head of the council, stared at a blinking screen. More distress signals. More civilian cries, and next to them, another tracker, Earth fleet deployments. Silent jumps. Fast insertions. Unknown hyperspace corridors. "They are not asking us," Varric whispered. Aaron, Earth's lone representative, stood quietly in the back. "You never asked them," he said. "And now, they don't wait." The room fell silent again. Someone finally spoke up. "What if Earth isn't planning to stop?" Aaron turned to them. "They are not." Gasps. Varric looked at him. "Then what are they planning?" Aaron walked forward slowly and placed a new disc on the council floor. It glowed brighter than before. A message played in a calm, cold voice. "To all worlds under threat, Earth is listening. You are not alone. The Deathworlders are coming. Far beyond council space, in a hidden sector known only as Zone Black." The Hammer of Dawn floated in a dark nebula. Inside the warship, Commander Dane reviewed a new set of data, coordinates from a world not part of any network. A colony wiped from the maps. The signal was weak. The message was desperate. He read the decoded line out loud. "They've taken the skies. We are burning. Please, if anyone hears this, we are not ready to die." Dane closed the report. His second-in-command asked, "Commander, this colony is marked off limits by council law. Are we still going?" Dane stood up, armor clanking as he turned to the crew. "If they were ready for war, they wouldn't be calling us." He tapped the activation pad, armed the fleet. "We launch in 20 minutes." As the ship prepared, soldiers sharpened blades, calibrated suits, and stared into glowing maps of a galaxy that had grown too cold. They didn't fight for glory, they didn't fight for banners, they fought for screams that had been ignored for too long, because in the dark corners of the stars, Deathworlders heard everything. Where death came, Earth stood. The planet Threxel was forgotten. Officially, it no longer existed. A failed mining colony. Abandoned after a plague. No maps marked it. No beacons blinked. Nothing was supposed to be there, but something was, and it was dying. Below the red clouds, the last of Threxel's people huddled inside mountain caverns. The swarm had found them weeks ago. The machines didn't just kill, they harvested. They tore apart homes, swallowed light, erased every trace of life. Now, only 200 survivors remained. In the tunnels, a boy held his mother's hand. He asked, "Why didn't the council help us?" She answered with tears. "They didn't. No, we were still here." He looked up, voice trembling. "Then who did?" And then the mountain shook, not from machines, from orbit. Above Threxel, the hammer of dawn arrived without warning. It didn't glide or drift. It punched through the clouds. 5 other ships followed it, Earth's strike fleet, once hidden, now unleashed. Each one bore the black insignia of the Deathworlder Guard. The fist. The cracked planet, the symbol of Earth's vengeance. They didn't wait. Drop pods screamed through the sky, flames trailing behind. Explosions lit the surface before the swarm could react. Dane's boots hit the dirt. He rose from his pod, blade in one hand, cannon in the other. "All squads," he called. "No survivors. No retreat. Burn them all." Deathworlders surged across the battlefield. No speeches. No mercy, just war. The swarm tried to counter. Crawlers, flyers, even biofusion tanks. But the Deathworlders were prepared. They used firebombs to collapse nests. They planted seismic charges to drop entire ridges on enemy positions. They moved like nightmares, silent, brutal, and fast. Inside the caves, survivors heard the fighting. Some feared the machines had found them. But then, the door was cut open. A human stood there, tall, armored, visor glowing like a furnace. "You called," he said. The people stared. Earth answered. Above Threxel, the final swarm fleet arrived late. A massive carrier blocked the sky, ready to erase the entire region with one blast. But the hammer of dawn turned to face it. One ship against an armada. Dane stepped onto the bridge. "Power to main guns." "Commander," an officer warned, "they outnumber us 50 to 1. Dane's eyes were cold. "Then we'll leave fewer for the next crew." The ship lit up, and it roared. Beams of light lanced through the darkness. The hammer fired with ancient wrath. The carrier tried to fire, but its core burst into flame. One by one, swarm ships began to explode, swallowed by human fury. The sky burned. By nightfall, the surface of Threxel was silent. Only the smell of ash remained. Dane stood beside the crater where the last enemy crawler had fallen. He looked up. The stars were bright again. Mara, now part of Earth's diplomatic crew, approached him. "It's over. For this world, at least." He nodded. "It always starts again somewhere else." She looked at him. "And what if the next cry is louder?" Dane turned to her. "Then we answer louder." Epilogue. A new map of the galaxy. Months later, a new map began to spread, not from the council, but from survivors. It marked not borders, but beacons. Tiny silver discs placed on planets across the stars. Each disc bore a signal. Each signal said, "You are not alone. Earth is watching. Deathworlders will come." Because when the galaxy screamed in despair, Earth didn't ask. Earth didn't hesitate. Earth answered with blazing steel. Asterisk.